Hello everyone, welcome back to another session by K21Academy. Today our experts trainer will be discussing about overview of backup and cloning of EBS. So let's get into the video.
Okay, so we have seen like how you can take the backup of your instance, like how you usually do it manually. You take the application backup, you take the database backup and everything there. From the EBS Cloud Manager, you have the you have the option to take the backup of your instances, even the compute or the VMDB, and this backup basically goes to the object storage bucket. Okay, so let me just log in to the Cloud Manager where I can show you at least the option there. Okay, so this is my Cloud Manager login, and you can change the compartment. Okay, right, so this is, you can see I can go ahead and create the backup of my instance. Okay, so this is going to ask me the backup name, the compartment in which you want to create. So you can create it in different compartment as well. The only thing is you should have permission for that. So you need to give the encryption password. Okay, so that encryption password, and you need to type it again here. And then you need to give the apps password. You need to give the logic password and the source wallet password. Okay, now this is the password which you have given it at the time of provisioning the instance. Okay, or later if you have changed it, then you can give that password as well. It's for whatever the current password is that you need to give it. So once you have given all those things, you are good to go. Let me reduce it so that I can show you some advanced options as well. So advanced options here will be like when I say talk about the backup, it is going to create the tarball for the application side. Okay, but for the database, it is going to take the consistent backup, and that is going to be via RMAN. So you can basically do the configuration here for your RMAN stuff. So compression algorithm, basic, low, medium, high, you can give it. Number of channels. Now this also depends upon like your the CPUs as well. Okay, how many CPUs you have selected. So based on that, it will take the default one. But if you know that you have got enough CPUs available, then you can go ahead and increase it as well. Okay, not too high because that is going to hang your machine. Then the section size, which is by default 4G, 4 GB is there. So 4 GB file it is going to create. Then how many files per set you want it, and max number of open files, and the RMAN rate. So RMAN rate, you can define it in kilobyte, megabyte, or gigabyte. And how much the maximum corruption you can allow. So that is what you can specify. Okay, like there is no default value there, but if you want that, okay, because you might be knowing that somewhat your database have got some issue, some block corruption or something. So in that case, yes, you can allow that. So at least the backup part, it is going to take one backup, and then you can proceed with your troubleshooting part. So that way, these are like few of the advanced options you can see here. But these are like, if you don't want or you don't have enough confidence on changing these things, don't go ahead and change it. You can go with the default one as well. Okay, and you can go ahead and just say create the backup, and it is going to create the backup for you. So here if you see, the password validation is in progress. So if you have given the any of these passwords wrong, it is going to give the error here itself. So unless and until you are not giving the password correct here, it is not going to proceed. It will not allow you to proceed further. So we were seeing the backup. So backup, you can create the backup, and that is what we have seen it. Yeah, and this is where it is going to create two files on the two bucket, basically on the object storage. One is the generic, which is for the application tier and the database tier binaries, and another one is the RMN backup. And this is basically for the encryption, right? And yeah, these are like the advanced options which we have seen it already. The compression algorithm. So this is basically again, the basic one is like available everywhere with all the additions. If say you are going for the higher one or so, then that will be uh, that will be the one which is going to come with the license part as well. So you will be charged for that as you have used this feature. So maybe in the auditing or so it will be reported, and then you might have to pay for it. Right. So default is 75% of the OCPU. When you say the number of channels, maximum you can go up to 255, but it is like 75% of the OCPU. It is going to configure it by default, but you can increase it as well. So this is basically going to increase the number of parallelism, and while taking the backup, your performance might get downgraded depending upon how many number of channels you have allocated. And yeah, this is the size. Right, and these are like the advanced options. The RMN file per set, max open file, the RMN rate. So you can basically configure it accordingly. I have mentioned the default values as well, which is there. So once this is all configured, then yes, you can see it, and you can see various validations and all those stuff. So this is where your database tier got up, your database got uploaded, and here is now the application tier pre-clone. It is going to run the pre-clone as well before uploading it. And the web logic and all. Right, so this is for the backups. Now let's see about the like how you can schedule the backup. So you can even schedule the backups as well. Okay, so there is a scheduling policies which are there, and then you can create the policy, and then you can put the schedule. So this is like we are creating the policy first, and then we are going to add the schedule there. Right, so you can create the schedule daily, weekly, monthly, whichever you want it, and then you can just it is going to take the backup accordingly. So you can schedule your backups as well, whatever the backups you wanted. According to the schedule, you can create it. And again, this is going to be the backup which you can manage it for the long term as well. But when it is like say the Exadata or VMDB, the automatic backups you can manage it using the MV2 buckets for the long term. So that utility is via that utility you can extract and keep the backup for the long term. Right, so that is there. Now let's move with the cloning part. So we have seen the backup scheduling, how we can take the backups and how we can schedule it. Now let's move to the cloning. Cloning is basically creation of the duplicate instance for your own purpose, maybe for the testing, for any kind of development activity. Okay, so at a high level, just I am covering the cloning. Okay, this is like how your generic EBS cloning works. So we have got the database and the e-business suite there, and we are going to create it. So for your cloning, what you need is the application tier file system. You need to have the Fusion middleware tools, which is basically going to create the WebLogic and the Oracle homes. And you don't need basically the copy of your homes, right? FMW homes. Basically at the backend create run the what is that, pack and unpack. So pack is going to create all the required files, and then when it is going to create it, it is going to run the unpack command at the backend. So which is going to create the Fusion Oracle home and do all the deployments and everything. It is going to take care of it. Right. So what you do is prepare the source, you copy the files, and then you configure it using the CFG clone. So these are like the high level activities which are involved in the cloning of the DB tier, and even on the application tier, a similar kind of thing is there. You first run the pre-clone, then you copy it, and then you create it. So when I say, creating the backup, it basically runs the pre-clone. And even like when we come to the cloning part, it is going to configure in the similar way. Okay, but here on the cloud, it is basically going to use a different technique for the different options. Okay, so that we are going to see. So this is basically the overall process of the cloning. So on the source and the target. So I think most of you are all aware of it because you are dealing with the e-business suite and all. Right, so this is a single step cloning where you say the dual FS is equal to yes. So it is going to configure the patch, and it also going to configure the run file system with one command. Right, so let's talk about the EBS Cloud Manager process, cloning process. So here you need to basically have the EBS Cloud Manager. Your instance should be running either on the compute or the VMDB. Okay, because the cloning for the EXA-CS is still not supported from the Cloud Manager, but for the compute and the VMDB is supported, and VMDB is the latest one with the latest version. Okay, and if you see here, what you need to do is you need now cloning. Earlier the limitation was that within the same network profile you can create it, but now you can basically create the cloned instance in the another network profile as well. Okay, so we know that what is the network profile. So network profile is basically the network layout for your deployment. So network profile basically works at two steps. First, you need to create all your network requirements from the backend, the OCI console, and then you need to map it with the name from the cloud manager. So it is going to create the network profile accordingly. So first you need to have the network layout design that, okay, what I want my database to be in one subnet. Okay, the application to be in one subnet. I want application multiple nodes. And I want applications, internal and external instances, say my DMZ or so. So those, whatever architecture you have, first accordingly you need to design your network layout and create it from the console. You need to open the security list as well, like say from the cloud manager you want to connect it, so port 22 needs to be there. So those security list, all that you need to open. Okay, if it is an application tier, you need to open multiple ports there too. So for your WebLogic, for your listener, for listener, all the connections from the load balancer, if you are using the load balancer. So those all security lists you need to open it. Once all that setup is there, then you can go ahead and create the network profile. Okay, there it is going to ask you multiple options there. You can define that, okay, which subnet is for what. Right, now all this activity you can basically do it in a very easy way using the Terraform. So that network layout and whatever ports needs to be open and everything, you need to make the changes in the code that okay, this is what I needed, and just run it. Within few minutes your network layout, everything will be created, that too error free. Okay, the easiest way. So that is what internally we do it with even in K21 we have the Terraform script, and even with all my customers wherever possible I go ahead and use the Terraform script. Even now if you see in OCI, the resource manager RM is got enhanced very much, and where you can directly integrate it with Git and all and can use it. So it is more like becoming the towards the DevOps side, how you can do that, how you can integrate it, how you can uh, work more efficiently and manage it. So now for the cloud manager directly, let's go from the instance level itself. So this is say my environment. Okay, now this is suppose say my failed environment. So right now here nothing is going to be visible, all grayed out. But yeah, this is say my environment with VMDB. Okay, and VMDB I can go ahead and create the clone. Now while cloning, I have to go via same process of provisioning. Okay, the same process. So I have got control to few things that I can change it, like the shape of the application tier or so, and the keys I can change it. And I can even control the jobs as well, like suppose I want to do the validation in between. In that case I will just stop the instance, means to stop the activity at that point of time, add the pause, do my validation and can resume it. So that is going to be via extensibility options I can perform. So this is all like we have seen it during our provisioning part, but let's see how it is going to be there. So for your cloud manager clone, you have got option for compute and the VMDB both. For the compute, it is going to be pretty fast. Okay, what it is going to do is like compute, when I'm saying, it means that you have got a single node for your application and the single node for your database. Okay, or maybe you have got all both the nodes on running on the same machine. Okay, so in that case, when you are say doing the cloning, it is going to use the block volume cloning, which is a native cloning methodology on the cloud at the backend, because you are not going to run anything like ASM or anything there. Okay, it is going to be on the single node database. Okay, the VM database and the single node VM compute. So there it uses the block volume cloning, and it is going to use the same topology as it is the source. The topology in the sense, like if I am having a multiple application node, then the clone will also have the multiple application node. The only thing is I can change the shape of that node. Okay, the database side and the same availability domain network profile as the source. Now it is not basically correct here because recently Oracle has changed this as well, that you can change the availability domain. Okay, and even you can change the network profile too. So I just need to make the changes there. But yes, you can change. This is the in the recent update, it is Oracle has added the feature of changing the network profile as well from the source. So if your source is in say a default network profile and you have created your own network profile, the custom one, you can basically clone it there. Okay, and it can be in the different data centers, but within the same region. And yes, the online and the offline cloning both are available. Right, so these are the three scenarios which is going to be there: the compute DB, the VMDB, and the ExaCS. So let's see first with the compute DB. So port pool, which remains the same for during the clone, okay, 0 and 1, which you cannot change it. The network profile, you can change it. Your choice will be there that once the clone is done, whether you want to start it immediately or you want to wait. Means you are going to start it, because sometime it happens that your mailer activity, your notification mailer, lot of mails might be there, and once the instances start immediately, all those might be the uh, you know the emails might be sent to the customers or maybe to the suppliers, whatever it is. So better preferences, like you go ahead and perform the setups, and you can start the database first, do your post clone activities specifically which you do from your end. And because that depends on the environment to environment, depend upon like what you are going to use it, so that you can change it before you make the instance application side up and running. And even the fault domains also you can change it. So here, oops, sorry, yeah. So here if I come, I need to give my say clone details, say test 22, something like that. The compartment I can select according to my choice. Okay, the only thing is the compartment, whatever you are selecting, just make sure that you have got full access to that or required access to that. Now here if you see the network profile, if I have the network profile already created, I can select that. So that means I can use a different network profile as well. Then the source apps password and the WebLogic password. Okay, so this is going to be say my clone environment. Now if it comes to the database, now my database is VMDB. So you can see here most of the things are grayed out, means I don't have any option there. So it is not allowing me to change the shape, at least on the VMDB side, it is not allowing me to change the shape as well of the database. Okay, and here I'm going to give my admin password. Now this is going to be the sys and the system password for cloned instance. Right. And I will be moving to next. So here the next comes is your application tier. Okay, now this is we are seeing it right now for the VMDB. Okay, so this is there, but in case of say my compute instance, it is going to use the block volume cloning. Okay, so here if you come, I can show you here like what it is going to use. So see, similar thing it is going to give me. Okay, the application tier and all those things. This is for the compute. If you are using the compute, so you are going to use the give this detail, then about the compartment and all those things you are going to add it here, the tag name and all. And here is the option where you want to start your application tier services or no. You can edit the required stuff here, whatever you wanted, the shape and all for the application side, the web entry point, the storage, and whatever your web entry point is. And this is where you are going to change the shape. So this is common to VMDB as well. We will see that, right? And now this is like extensibility, custom or seeded one, whichever you are looking for. Just make sure that you are adding the pause, or you want to stop it, or even if you don't want it, go with the default one. Add the keys and review and submit. So it is going to perform all the pre-checks at the beginning and will give you the details. So what happens behind the scene? So it uses the block volume storage at the backend. which is an high performance NVMe based storage. Okay, and it uses the block volume cloning and not the snapshot cloning. So block volume cloning is basically direct disk to disk deep copy, and there is no dependency on the source. Okay, whatever is there, it is going to copy it at that time, and there will be no dependency. But if you see in the snapshot, it basically needs to maintain the status of the source, and when it is changed, then it is going to copy the previous one before making the changes. Okay, so there is a lot of you know say the round trips will be there in that. It needs to check the status and then need to keep a track of it. So snapshot technology is not used, but it uses the block volume cloning at the backend. So it is not going to create any snapshot, not going to create any backup on the object storage, not restoration from the backup. Directly it is going to copy it, and it is going to keep it there. Okay, so this is what it is going to use. It uses the volume clones for the database and the backup, create it, and this is pretty fast, and that is where it is going to recover your database and everything from the redo logs itself. And it uses the logical host name, so not much of the configuration side is required. Okay, because it is not directly attached or configured using the IP address, but it uses the logical host name, and that logical host name, it is going to use it for the binding purpose. So with VM, this is going to be pretty fast. Okay, now with with compute, it is going to be very fast. Now with VMDB, this is the latest feature which has been added, and this is for the 12C release 1 and 19C only, and your grid home needs to be minimum 19.9. Okay, below that it is not supported, but above that it is. And your PDF file system, whatever the directory structure is there, that should be according to the Oracle managed files. OMF is Oracle managed files standards only, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the standard. So you need to have the files located at this location. Okay, if it is not there, then you can use the move command and then can bring it. Okay, like suppose if you have used the lift and shift and those kind of things, and you might have created it in the separate way, then you can basically change this and do it. Okay, so as I have mentioned about the lift and shift and all, okay, we will talk about the discovery process of the cloud manager, that how you can bring the instance which is not created using the cloud manager, how you can bring it under the cloud manager umbrella. Okay, that we are going to see. But yes, just an example, like when these are like the prerequisites and the features. Yes, you cannot change the database tier here, VMDB, and then cloning of this basically resides in the same availability domain, unlike your uh, compute instance, which you can change the availability domain during the creation, but here it is basically going to be in the same one. Then I'm sorry guys, even for the compute instance, it should be in the same availability domain. So there are the post cloning option. Okay, yeah, before direct cloning, if you want to create the VMDB, then it was via backup. So that is what I think earlier we have seen that too, like via backup from the VM console. You can, oh sorry, not from the VM console, from the from the cloud manager console itself, you can basically go ahead and create the backup and then go ahead and create the provisioning of the environment. So this was like if you are not having the direct, like you are on the lower version of the Cloud Manager. So the latest version has got the VMDB clone option directly available. Okay, so I didn't remove that. Okay, in case if you are on that. Okay, for the EXA we have got the automatic incremental backup and the full database backup. You can have it directly from the OCI console, and then you can create that. So that is an EXA backup, but that is from the OCI console, not from the Cloud Manager console. Right, so there are multiple options there. You have a retention period of 90 days. You can configure automatic backups, and then you can create the instance there. And for the application side, that you need to do it manually. So I will say that for EBS Cloud Manager for the Exadata CS is like only the provisioning option is there, and you can manage it from the front end, but the backup and the cloning option, that is from the console itself. But yeah, that is in the pipeline. From the Cloud Manager it will be there. So I have got the list of like what features are coming. I can share that I think the screenshot with you in the group. So that is going to be helpful, like what is going to be in the pipeline. Okay, so the cloning for the EXA CS is going to be there. Then the advanced provisioning with an automated FSS service is coming. Autonomous database support is coming. The state server support for the lift and shift is coming. Yeah, the refresh of the environment. Okay, so that is in place, is going to be there. And another thing is, yeah, incremental backups, block volume, and the DB tooling based backup, that is going to be there. I think that was the question which was asked, that okay, while doing the cloning or say while configuring the backups, we can't take the incremental backups also. So that is in lifecycle management is going to be there in coming releases. So that is in place. So maybe by end of this year, more features will be, you will be seeing it here. Right. So post cloning steps are basically the similar one which you have seen it, for your provisioning side. So you can just go through that once and see, what all is there. It is exactly the same, because after configuring, you need to configure the load balancer. You want to add the load balancer, or maybe you might be using it directly, whichever it is, SSL part and all. And this is for the WebLogic console. You need to open the ports. If it is without the load balancer, then you need to just directly open the port for the nodes, application node. Right. Okay. This is for the cloning and the backups. Okay.
So guys, this was our cloud expert from Team K21 Academy. And if in case you have missed upon any concepts, or if you want to have a deeper dive, then we have something really, really, really special for you. We have our free class on Build, Manage and Migrate EBS R12 to Cloud for Beginners. Under this free class, you'll be learning about the future of EBS R12. You'll be learning about EBS R12 on cloud. You'll be learning about a holistic overview of Cloud Manager of EBS. You'll be getting a demo where you'll be learning about lift and shift to cloud. You'll be learning about the architecture. And most importantly, you'll be learning about some amazing job opportunities and a whole 8-week roadmap to get your life started on this. So if you want to register for this free class, all you have to do is just log on to k21academy.com/EBS Cloud 02, and you'll be seeing this kind of interface. You just have to click on book your free seats now, select your event date according to your availability, add your name, your email, your phone number, and click on yes, save my seat. Moving ahead, you'll be seeing this kind of URL on the extreme right. Save that URL to your calendars, and I'll see you in the free class. Till then, keep learning.